Several stories breaking now. The biggest, of course, former Governor Bob McDonnell and his wife now face prison time on more than a dozen charges of crimes committed while the McDonnells were in office.
When public officials turn to financial gain in exchange for official acts, we have little choice but to prosecute the case.
Good evening. It's been a historic day in Virginia, and not for good reasons. A former governor and his wife facing dozens of years, possibly behind bars. The former governor was found guilty on 11 counts connected with the corruption case. His wife, Maureen, found guilty on 9 counts. Let's get right to 10 on your sides. Aaron Kelly and Andy Fox live in Richmond. They were there when the verdict came down.
Yeah, Tom, let's run down, first of all, you've mentioned the counts and everything. Let's just run down what the verdicts found McDonnell guilty of. Take a look at this. Promoting Williams' business by using or trying to use state labs. McDonnell had denied that. The jury disagreed. To do the testing for Johnny Williams' products in Natablock. Arranging a meeting with Dr. Bill Hazel, Secretary of Health and Human Resources. Says he would do it for any ordinary business. The jury wasn't buying that. Bill Hazel called Williams the Tic Tac man and thought he was a joke, and his product, too, wondering why they were even talking to him. He was also using the governor's mansion to launch Williams and Natablock. Said he would have done that for any company. Well, the jury didn't buy that. For accepting $15,000 check from Johnny Williams for his daughter's wedding. Accepting $50,000 check from Johnny Williams for his business, Mobo LLC. Got a sweetheart deal, 2 to 3% interest loan. Don't pay me back for 3 or 4 years. Handshake. Why? The jury thought he only got that because he was the governor. Accepting $20,000 check from Johnny Williams from Mobo. Accepting gifts and loans, thousands of dollars, the $6,500 Rolex watch. Accepting $2,300 at Kinlock Golf Club for golf clubs and a golf bag for his kids. Accepting $1,424 at Kinlock Golf Club for greens fees. McDonnell said on the stand that those should have been reported. He actually did not report those on the mandatory state filing forms. Maureen McDonnell found guilty of obstructing an official investigation. When she knew that everything was breaking, she wrote a note to Johnny Williams, had it delivered through his brother, and said, Johnny, here are the dresses from New York City. Thank you so much. As we agreed upon, I am now returning them. That's when Johnny Williams realized he needed to get a lawyer, and that was what he was found guilty of. Stunning. The headline here, guilty. Aaron, what happened in court?
Well, inside court, there was a huge crowd of people waiting to get in that courtroom. Everybody got a seat. Then the legal teams came in, prosecutors came in, the McDonnells came in. And you could already tell that they were on edge, waiting for the verdict. Of course, we've been waiting for it for 6 weeks here since the start of this trial. The judge brought the jury in. He looked over their verdict sheet, and it was silent in that courtroom. And the McDonnells already emotional, waiting to hear it. And then we heard the words guilty 7 times in a row for those first few counts, and we heard the McDonnell children start to sob. They were crying louder with each count. Bob McDonnell was seated at the same table he's been seated at the entire trial. You could not hear him, but you could see his body shaking as he was crying. Maureen McDonnell, you could also tell from behind that she was crying, but she was also silent. They've been sitting at that table together, but with their legal teams between them for the past 6 weeks, and I can tell you, it was a completely different governor from the one that we had seen walking in and out of that courthouse for the past 6 weeks. Bob McDonnell has been taking questions from us throughout the 6 weeks, but today, as you saw, he didn't say much as he went quickly into his car, and Maureen McDonnell had nothing to say as she went in. That's the latest here.
Went quickly and said, I am still standing, and I pray to God. And Henry Asbill said he was devastated by this, his client was. He is stunned, and they do plan to appeal. January 6th, he will be sentenced. For Aaron Kelly, I'm Andy Fox in Richmond, 10 on your side.
We have 2 reporters from Richmond working this story. We also have a newsroom full of people gathering reaction to today's verdict. It's all coming on in to 10 on your side's Deanna LeBlanc. Deanna?
Yeah, Tom, lots of reaction right now from local and state leaders, some with words of support for the former governor and his family, but others have something different to say. Let's start with Governor Terry McAuliffe. He says, I am deeply saddened by the events of the trial that ended in today's verdict and the impact it had on our Commonwealth's reputation for honesty and clean government. And we hear a similar message about tarnishing the Commonwealth's reputation from Attorney General Mark Herring. He said, in part, "We have a long way to go to restore the public's trust after this embarrassing and difficult period for the Commonwealth of Virginia." He goes on to say, "In the upcoming legislative session, I hope the General Assembly will move much closer to the gifts bans that Governor McAuliffe and I have implemented." He's speaking, they implemented that for their staffs themselves. Then Virginia Beach Mayor Will Sessoms testified in the trial as president of Town Bank for accusations the McDonnells failed to report a loan from Johnny Williams on their annual filings with the bank. They were found not guilty on that count. We reached out to the mayor, who said this: "It is unbelievable. It is a sad day for Bob, a sad day for his family, and a sad day for the Commonwealth of Virginia. The one thing I feel good about is that the jury did listen to my testimony." And reaction from Senator Mark Warner, who tweeted, "The jury has spoken. This is a sad day for Virginia. I have known and worked with Bob McDonnell for more than 20 years. My thoughts today are with Bob, Maureen, and their children. I urge all Virginians to keep the McDonnell family in their prayers." And we have one more just in from Congressman Bobby Scott. He says in a statement, "This is a sad day in the history of our Commonwealth. Today's verdict will require Congress to clarify the exact meaning of honest services and will encourage state legislatures to adopt meaningful gift bans. My thoughts and prayers are with Bob and Maureen McDonnell and their children." So lots of mixed messages coming out. We will continue to work here in the newsroom to monitor reaction from our lawmakers. As soon as we get more information, we'll let you know. I'm Deanna LeBlanc. 10 on your side.
And our McDonnell coverage will continue all night long and on WAVY.com. Online right now, some of the important evidence presented in the case. You can also see a timeline of events leading up to the trial and tweets from Aaron, Andy, and other reporters covering this ordeal. It's all posted to a special page, all there on WAVY.com. And don't go anywhere. Our political analyst Joel Rubin is coming up in a few minutes to discuss what's next for the McDonnells and the future of politics for both the former governor and for Virginia. We continue to track breaking news in Richmond. Bob, an extraordinary case gets an extraordinary decision. There's no way around it. Former Governor Bob McDonnell and his wife Maureen convicted on charges related to a federal corruption case. We're going to bring in our political analyst Joel Rubin to talk about today's news. So much of the family dirty laundry came out during this case, and that was, of course, the defense strategy. It clearly didn't work.
The worst testimony about Maureen McDonnell came from Bob McDonnell's witnesses. And you wonder, I mean, on the outside, those of us who are watching the case started thinking, boy, Bob McDonnell was really tough on his wife, or his lawyers were tough on the wife. Is this the right thing for a husband to be doing to his wife? And you kind of wonder, was the jury feeling the same way? Did Bob McDonnell begin to lose some sympathy with the jury the longer that trial went on and his defense was being played out? That is the thing that everybody's going to sort of question as we're going beyond this trial and analyzing this trial. Was the defense strategy the wrong one? And if it was, obviously he lost, as did Maureen.
And when you look at other governors who went through this kind of trial, Rod Blagojevich, John Edwards, it took days to get a hung jury on one, to get I think Blagojevich was a hung jury on the first one, 14 days. This one, you had 14 counts, 90 pages of instructions, 67 witnesses, and 2
days of deliberations.
It sounds like they had their minds made up.
They got the case kind of in the afternoon on Tuesday,
right.
And by the afternoon on Thursday, they had made up their minds. So the thought is maybe they knew going into the jury room that they were going to find him guilty. It's just a question, or both of them guilty. It was just a question of which counts.
Now, one more thing factors in here. We talk about character. The judge had that as part of his final jury instructions. Will that factor into his sentencing?
Well, you're certainly going to hear a lot of character witnesses for Bob McDonnell and Maureen McDonnell when it comes time in January for the sentencing. And we're going to hear what a good guy he was and all things he had done for the state of Virginia, and he deserves some that deserves some attention in terms, but you know, being found guilty on 11 counts for him and 9 counts for her, it's going to be hard for them to avoid all prison time, I would think.
That's going to be very interesting. Okay, Joel Rubin, thank you for coming in on such short notice. When this all broke, we were all ready for it, but we were all kind of shocked that it came down so early. I think that's safe to say. This story is far from over. We're going to pull all of the information and reaction together we have, and we'll get it for you tonight on WAVY News after the football game tonight.